Hi, this is Cheryl back with you from Farmhouse Frugally with day 12 of our 12 days of Christmas. Hopefully you've been following along. Today we are going to start with this board that I got from the dollar store. It had a heart on it. Just cut that heart portion off. And then a package of tongue depressors. I want to cover up that, and also I need a little bit of a frame to glue the sides and back of a nativity or creche. And I begin by using wood glue. I switch to hot glue because honestly it is easier and works perfectly fine since this is such a lightweight wood. I had to clamp them, and that really was unnecessary. It worked fine, but it was unnecessary. And then taking some of the tongue depressors, covering up that section on the bottom that I cut, and making that frame. Once I have this all glued together, then I am going to glue the back on, and it takes a little bit of time with the wood glue to dry. Now, once I have that, I wanted to start, while I'm waiting for that to dry, with my little baby Jesus. So I am using a tumbling tower block and a little bead that I have on hand and just gluing them together so that these things can dry while I am waiting for the rest. One of my lovely viewers had mentioned she would like to make a nativity with her grandchildren, so this was prompting my making this, as well as I did not want 12 days of Christmas to go by without recognizing Jesus is the reason for the season. Now, I want to also remind you to take a look at the 2 host videos as well as the playlist in the description box. Once I get the back glued on with both the hot glue and the wood glue, then I want to move on to make 2 sides. I want to keep the front open, so I just made sure when I put the popsicles, the tongue depressors on the back wall, that there was enough space in between to slide another tongue depressor. So here I am just cutting off the rounded edge and using quite a bit of hot glue for these 2 pieces because they only have that small piece of wood to hold on to on the front. And then I am taking the tongue depressors on the side and I am going to slide them into those sections that fits the back wall. Instead of making a pitched roof, I decide that it is much easier to make a flat roof here, so I add 2 more braces on the top of these 2 sides and then lay the rest of the tongue depressors straight across the top of the roof. And I had exactly enough tongue depressors to make this project with 1 package that I got from the dollar store. And then once I have the entire roof completed, then I want to move on to the rest of this. If you have been enjoying these 12 days of Christmas, would you please hit the like button for me? I would really appreciate that. Next, I am taking regular popsicle sticks and I am cutting them down to make 2 what looks like 2 little pair of skis. And then once I have that done, I am going to use some sidebars to get the little manger together, and I put 3 on each side. I do believe that this is something that an older child could certainly do. A younger child could help you, obviously, if you use the hot glue gun. But I think that they would enjoy making this craft, especially if you have a Sunday school class or, some kids that are, 10, 11, 12 years old. This could be a lot of fun for them to do. Now, I am opting to keep this entire project natural, although it would be fun to paint it or to stain it or to use some antiquing wax to give it some aged color. But I opted to keep this natural and to add a few other elements to it. Once I get both sides of the manger completely glued together, then I'm going to move on. I will come back to the manger in a little bit. Nope, actually, I took the little baby Jesus. I wrapped him in a little bit of drop cloth here and then just made a little blanket. And then later I'm going to come back and add a little bit of moss to the bottom of the manger and put him back in. Now, once I have that completed, I need to make my Mary and Joseph. Now, this would be great if you had two of the kind of clothespins that have a rounded top. I did not, so my husband was kind enough to cut down a little spindle that I had in my stash, and all I'm doing is making a little bit of fluff to make them a little fatter because these are kind of small spindles, but just any kind of fiber fill or extra fabric or anything would help here. And then just crossing that over and taking a piece of twine after I cut that off and making a little belt. Once I have the belt tied on, then I would like to add just a little bit of yarn, or I have some brown fiber for some hair, and then take the striped fabric that I have on hand and make that head covering for Joseph. And then I am going to glue the bottom of the spindle directly to the bottom of the creche. And then I'm going to repeat this same process for Mary. The main difference being that I gave her long hair out of the brown fiber that I had, but also that I had a piece of blue and white ticking fabric from an old pillow, and I thought that made the perfect head covering for her. So then I again glued her directly into the creche, and then I glued the little manger in there as well. So now this can be moved around and the pieces won't fall out. And then once I had that finished, I have two kinds of moss in my stash. The reindeer moss, which is a really pretty green moss, and then the brown, typical savanna type moss that, you can find both of these at the dollar store. And I just wanted to go ahead and add a little bit of moss inside the creche and then some moss inside the baby Jesus's manger, and then I decided to put some on the top of the roof. So I thought that kind of completed the look for this nativity. And I would love to know what you think of this, whether you think that you would do this with a child, and if you have been enjoying this 12 days of Christmas, then this would be helpful to know if this is the kind of thing that you enjoy, whether I should do this next year, or if you have another idea. So once I have that completely done, then this is to my liking. I absolutely love nativities and creches. I love to put one up. I have one up every year. And so this I thought would be very sweet for kids. Now that is how it looks here in my home. And I also happened to get this sweet little angel at the dump this year on the good table, and I thought that she was the perfect addition to this little creche. So I put her on the top above it and love the way that this came out. So I want to just tell you how much I appreciate you, especially if you've stuck with me all 12 days. If you stuck with me all 12 days, would you put a red heart in the comment section? That will let me know how many of you did watch all 12. And if you didn't and you want to go back and take a look, I would appreciate that. But I especially would tell you to go look at day 9. I think day 9 was my most creative, most fun, and shocking, really, for me, because that was the one I was most concerned about. But for me, I thought that was fun. But if you want to let me know which day of these 12 was your favorite, I would appreciate that as well. So thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you soon. Take care.